A while ago, I made a video saying that a lot of today's music is starting to sound the same. And my viewers had a lot to say about that. Y'all flooded my comments with bands and artist suggestions. And I listened to most of them. And then I made this video, and you gave me even more comments and suggestions. So I decided to make a series out of this. And I asked my wife, Kit, to go through all the comments and list out all the different band recommendations, which is now at about 400 different bands. So I've been listening to them. I haven't gotten through all of them. I'm working on them. And I picked 8 that I wanted to talk about and that I thought you might find interesting. Here they are. The band that everybody has been saying I should talk about and that was recommended more than any other band out there, that would be The Warning. They're a rock band from Monterrey, Mexico, and it's made up of 3 sisters. Now, they've been doing this a really long time. You can go onto their YouTube channel and see these older videos from when they're little kids and watch them through the progress all the way to where they're at now. And it's pretty amazing, actually, how this all happened. They were doing cover songs. They did some Metallica songs that got a lot of attention, which led to some TV show interviews and them starting to write songs, and it's actually a pretty amazing story. Now, to be honest with you, to me, this isn't necessarily my kind of rock and roll, and I wouldn't say that they're doing something innovative that we've never heard before, but I gotta tell you, they're doing it better than most bands I've ever heard in my life. This is no joke. These women are absolutely killing it. The records sound amazing. I think the songwriting's really good. I've seen people poo-poo their songwriting. I'm like, whatever, shut up. These are actually really damn good songs. On guitar and lead vocals is Daniela. Alejandra plays bass and does backing vocals, and Paulina plays drums, does backing vocals and lead vocals on a few songs. Now, they're all really good and they all sound great, but I specifically wanted to point out Paulina, who to me is a really great drummer, and I absolutely love her drum sounds, especially her snare drum. I love that. I also have a lot of respect for a drummer who can sing so well and play drums at the same time. That's just incredible to me. Many people refer to the Warning fans as the Warning Army, and I get it, because the passion in the comments and the loyalty that these people have to this group is pretty incredible. But I will say, most of those people also referred me to the next band, which is Band-Maid. Band-Maid was formed and started performing in 2013. And the name and image come from founding member Miku Kabatu, who worked at a Maid Cafe, which is a cosplay restaurant where the waitresses dress as maids and refer to their customers as masters. And they use that theme referring to their male fans as their masters, their female fans as princesses, and their shows as servants. And the whole submissive, cute maid thing is meant to contrast their incredibly intense, aggressive music, which is really a great idea. At first, I thought this was some sort of gimmick, but after listening for just a couple minutes, it was like, oh my God, they are playing at an incredibly high level, and they're killing it. I figure, like, if you've done that, you can dress however the hell you want. And I wanted to add, one of my favorite things about this band is that they do a lot of solos. Not just guitar solos, you'll have bass solos, drum solos. You know, the bands I listened to when I was younger, they did solos, and it seems like people are always afraid of doing solos. I'm glad to see that coming back with this group, which actually leads me to this. This is a collaboration between The Warning and Band-Maid, which is pretty darn cool, and you should check it out. I'll put a link in the description, but it brings up this other thing, and I know a lot of people aren't gonna like hearing me say this, but I just gotta say it, and that is, when I started listening to these two bands, I started listening to their records, you know, the official videos and stuff like that, and it was good, but, you know, as a record producer, I can always tell when something's kind of perfect. You can hear there's nothing wrong in any of it. It all sounds very slick and very good, and it's great. Actually, The Warning has done some recording with David Bendeth, who's a great producer, but a lot of music today is just, well, it's probably a subject of another video, but I started listening to the live stuff, and that's when I was like, oh my God. And I feel like those should be the singles. That is what they should release. Go and listen to any of their live stuff, especially The Warning live at the Pepsi Center. If you want to hear what these bands are about, go hear their live stuff first before you listen to the records. That's all I'm going to say. You will absolutely be blown away. The Finnish group Nightwish is the story of endurance and the long road. They started in 1996, and their Wikipedia page is really, really long. Their history is filled with a lot of personnel changes and drama, which is like their music, which is very dramatic. Some people call it symphonic goth metal. To me, it sounds like movie score music. And it has this kind of timeless nature to it. Over the course of their career, they've put out 10 albums, with the most recent being Yesterwind, which came out in 2024. The mixing is incredible, the production is incredible, the songs are incredibly cool. And in spite of all the personnel changes, they've had a lot of success. They've sold millions of records, won lots of awards, toured the world, and have a very loyal fan base. When I read about bands like this, it always amazes me that they've survived in any form whatsoever. I had such a hard time keeping any kind of band together for more than a year, and it's quite a feat. Actually staying in the business for any time longer than 3 years is quite a feat, and I gotta hand it to them. You know, sometimes a band's music is bigger than the band itself. I would suggest you check this band out. This next artist is somebody that I stumbled across on the internet a few months ago and then got referred a lot in these videos, and all the young people I know have mentioned his name to me. Ren Gill is a Welsh rapper, singer, and musician who happens to be really, really good at all of those things. There's a lot of background history about him that I don't have time to get into now, but the bottom line is he'd gotten Lyme disease, which was undiagnosed. Nobody knew what was wrong with him for the longest time, and it really took him out of the game. I think he lost a record deal over the thing and was bedridden for a long time until they finally figured out what was going on, and there's been a lot of medical treatments and stuff. So a lot of his music talks about the struggles he's been through, his life. I can't really describe what the genre is. To me, this is literally something that he invented himself. It's like a combination of classical, hip-hop, spoken word poetry. Sometimes his singing's almost operatic. It's literally something I've never heard before. I listen to it and I wonder, how did he come up with this stuff? If you want to hear something new and different, you should definitely check him out. But I'll warn you, this stuff can be really intense. He's not pulling any punches. You know, I feel like artists today are so afraid to sing about how they actually feel about things and the world that we live in now. And this guy, he's telling you what he thinks and how he feels for real. This is not some made-up stuff. It's definitely real. When I heard this band, I was like, God, I don't really like this band. It just sounds like some crappy bar band, some pub band. And then something caught my ear, and I was like, oh, actually, that sounds like a couple of the bands I might have played in when I was a lot younger. So I started listening, and then I looked them up, and they are called Amyl and The Sniffers. And they describe their music and the reason they named the band that in this way. They say, in Australia, we call poppers, which is a drug that you sniff, we call poppers amyl. So you sniff it, it lasts 30 seconds, and then you have a headache. And that's what we're like. You know, this stuff kind of reminds me of Iggy Pop and the Stooges. I was never much of a fan of Iggy Pop, but I will tell you that I really appreciate the edginess and the energy and the sincerity which these people have. And the other thing about this kind of music, it might be rough around the edges and sound a little raw, but if you actually listen into the songs, they're usually pretty damn catchy songs. Like this one right here, this is a great melody in here, and really damn good lyrics. As a matter of fact, a lot of these songs have pretty damn good lyrics. I like these people. I like them. This next group was actually not referred to me by anybody in the comments here. They were referred to me by two artists that I've been working with, my buddy Slade and Danny Boone from the band Rehab. They're the group Paris, Texas, and they are a hip-hop alternative rock group. I'm not sure quite what it is that they're doing, and probably most of you are gonna hate this stuff. And I did actually at the beginning when I first heard him, but I started listening, I was like, there's actually something kind of genius in here. And I guess it's from all the years I spent working on hip-hop and rap music along with alternative and kind of hearing how they're blending that stuff in there. I just find it just kind of intriguing. Although I often don't know exactly what's going on with their music, but to me that's kind of refreshing, and it's edgy, which, as I said earlier, is something I think is lacking in a lot of today's music. I love their videos, and they've got a really great sense of humor. I like the fact that they don't take themselves too seriously, even though they're really dedicated at what they're doing. I just gotta say, I love these guys. Electric Callboy is an electronic core band out of Germany that was formed in 2010. Now, they were originally called Eskimo Callboy, but changed their name in 2022. And they've got this song, which is blowing up right now. Now, this guy right here is not in the band. That's actor UK Boss. I'm sure I'm saying that the wrong way. But what I find interesting about them is that they do this scream metal thing, which I don't normally like, but they do it really well. And then they come into a chorus and it's like boy band vocals or something like that. I think what's really cool about them is their humor and their videos. I ended up spending a lot of time when I should have been working on this video, looking at video after video after video after video after video from these guys. They're really incredible. I also came across some pretty interesting collaborations that they did with other artists. And their shows are pretty amazing as well. I was watching some live footage and it got me thinking, like, how is it that we live in this world where a band could be so huge and doing these huge shows and having these videos, and yet me and a lot of people never heard about them? Odd world we live in. Anyway, if you want some fun, you want to dance, and some damn good entertainment, check them out. This song has become my jam. I've probably listened to it 20 times in the last 3 days. The group is Descartes, a Kant, which I think I'm saying it the right way, and they get their name from two philosophers that had kind of opposing philosophical viewpoints, which makes sense with their music, which has different than what you would think incongruous elements to it, and the songs will suddenly just head off in some other direction. It's like I'm on the edge of not liking it and just like going like, what's going on? And then it pulls me back in. I think my wife, Kit, said it best when she said, I shouldn't like it, but I really do. Now, I'm listening to it, and some of these guitar parts sound like Todd Rundgren guitar sounds, but yet there's something about it that makes me think of that band from the 90s, The Breeders. And then I start reading about them, and it turns out that their third album was done by Steve Albini, who did The Breeders and other bands in that vein. But they definitely have their own sound. Now, this song is from their new album, which is a conceptual work, which is exploring the cycles of existential creation and destruction. On their website, they describe it as, After Destruction portrays the psychological distress of a compulsively hyper-communicative but emotionally isolated society with a retro-futuristic aesthetic, destructive guitars, synthesizers, and moving melodies. Satirizing commentary, emotional consumerism, the band adds an automaton character to its lineup, the DAC, an innovative machine designed to repair emotional damage, which appears throughout interludes both on the album and in the live show. Looking to restore your life after catastrophe? Turning your pain into a work of art has never been easier. I'm so glad I found out about this group, thanks to the people who referred them. And I just wanted to add that I was checking out some of the interludes from the album, and this one right here was just something I needed to hear. So in case anybody from the band is watching this video, I just wanted to say thank you. And if anybody watching the video is interested, I'll put a link to it in the description. Well, that's all I got for now. I'd like to say thanks to everybody who suggested bands. And if you've got any you would like me to check out, please put it in a comment below. I can't guarantee that I'll get to all of them because it takes a lot of time, and I want to make sure that I'm giving these bands and artists a fair listen. In the meantime, thanks for watching the video. Please subscribe and be unique.